Let's take a look inside the Trump inauguration and the people that donated to the record $250 million inauguration fund. The record breaking fund was built by a combination of donations from mega corporations and ultra wealthy individuals. As we see here, this was more than double his 2017 inauguration, which was already the highest inaugural fund in history by far, as you see with the Bush, Obama, Biden comparisons. The 2017 one was already the biggest by far, and now we're over doubled it. Now, so many of the companies that donated included tech, crypto, banking, pharmaceuticals, retail, automotive, and more were all represented. Many of these companies have sought to influence the new administration's policies on trade, taxes, regulations, and government spending. You also see that many firms engaged in actions with the federal agencies are represented in the donor list, such as, you have Coinbase, who was being investigated by the SEC, same thing as Meta. Um, they were being investigated by the old administration, gave all this money, and now these cases are dropped. And I guess there was no conflict of interest there, right? No conflict of interest there. The various individuals consisted of picks for ambassadorships, members of Trump's cabinet, and executives who firms engaged in actions with federal agencies or looking for favorable regulatory decisions. So nominees and their spouses accounted for at least 16 million of the contributions. Several of Trump's political nominees donated $1 million or more. The top three individual donors to Trump's inaugural committee were all nominated for political appointments in his administration, including two ambassadorships. The top individual donor was Warren Stevens, who gave a whopping $4 million to the inauguration alone, and he will now be the ambassador to the UK, which is, of course, a top choice. Next was Jared Isaacman, a billionaire businessman with connections to Elon Musk. He will now be the head of NASA, which is important due to the fact that he will be the one in charge of government space contracts. So be on the lookout for a lot more SpaceX government contracts and a lot less Blue Origin space contracts. I think I think Elon will do all right with that choice, right? And then number three is a real estate investor who will be the ambassador to Latvia after donating $2 million. Good for her, right, guys? Alrighty. Next up, we have Florida lawyer Dan Newland, so Mr. Dan Newland over here spent $11 million of his own ads on his own ads supporting Trump during the election. He also gave $1 million to the inauguration. He will now be the ambassador to Colombia. Jeffrey Sprecher is the billionaire husband of Trump's small business administrator Kelly Loeffler, who famously lost her Georgia Senate seat to Raphael Warnock in 2020, following the loss to Trump and on to Joe Biden. That was a great moment. Loeffler lost, and yeah, it was tremendous. Up next, we have Keith Rabois, as the husband of a Trump State Department nominee and the former partner at Peter Thiel's venture capitalist firm. Peter Thiel, who founded PayPal with Elon Musk, is a techno-feudalist and one of the most influential people in modern American politics. He's JD Vance's mentor. He's the one that chose JD Vance from Yale to become a politician. And clearly that investment's paid off for him. He's the owner of Palantir, which is now one of the more relevant companies in the world. And I do plan to do a deep dive on Palantir in the near future, but you're going to see lots of, as we've already seen, lots of CIA contracts, federal government contracts with Palantir. They use AI to do all sorts of really bad things. Like I said, I'm going to do a deep dive into it. But you look at the Peter Thiel techno-feudalism, you really see what these elites, these tech elites specifically, are really trying to do with the world, as we're really on the precipice of a massive change in American society with AI. There's going to take all jobs. Very, 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 very little jobs are going to be left after AI, if we're being honest. Quite frankly, the more trades jobs are probably the best you have to really maintain your position in the. But once robots, if I'm being honest, once robots really take over, even the trace positions are going to be quite irrelevant. And it's really going to affect the economy like never seen before. The effects that AI and stuff is going to have, and that's why we have people like Peter Thiel that are trying to be the one of the few oligarchs to maintain power after this AI takeover. They want to be the AI superlords. They want to be the techno feudalists, and we are the feudal stooges for them, living our lives on the meta, on the fucking matrix, right? Alrighty. Next, we have Ken Howery, who is also a co-founder of PayPal with Musk and Till. Sure seems like a small club that we're not in, right, guys? He will be the ambassador to Denmark, which is, of course, specifically prevalent due to the fact that Trump has said that he's gonna own Greenland, which is owned by Denmark, of course. And so having a hack like Ken Howery in there is gonna help make that process a little bit easier. Whether we do it with force, we do it pragmatically, we'll see. But um, it's definitely prevalent that Mr. Howery's there. Up next, Linda McMahon. Now she gave $1 million and is the education secretary now. If you don't know, she is famous for being married to Vince McMahon, the disgraced WWE wrestling promoter who has had to completely resign and sell off his stock after being exposed for being involved with multiple sex trafficking cases. So she fits in right in with the Trump administration, if we're being honest. Um, while she was in WWE, her most notable experience in the business world or in anything, quite frankly, she led things like the WWE magazine, which went out of business shortly after she took over. So it really shows her understanding of business and how to run things. And overall, she played a relatively minor role at the company. It was Vince and the rest of the guys doing the real heavy lifting, so to speak. So you might be asking, what does she know about education with her minor experience in the professional wrestling arena? Well, for one, she lied about having a degree in education. For years, she claimed she had a degree in education. Well, it turned out it was actually a degree in French. Maybe that was a mistake. Maybe she wasn't showing up to classes and she got confused. She signed up for the wrong degree. I don't know. But when you're running the Secretary of Education, you're lying about having a degree in education. You shouldn't be nominated after that. But not only was she nominated, but she is now the active education secretary. And what has she done since then? Well, she also recently went viral for calling AI A1, like the steak sauce, while reading a teleprompter at an event. Now, that doesn't tell you everything you need to know. She thought AI was A1, like the steak sauce. And she's clearly clueless, just reading off whatever fucking staffer or Trump administration person they have writing her scripts for her. And it's not what we need leading the education in America. Education's collapsing. We have a very dumb youth, if we're being honest. Most the reading rates, science, math, all of that is collapsing. And we don't need the A1 steak sauce wrestling promoter wife leading the education. So if that doesn't get you discouraged about the future of the kids of America, I don't know what will. But she has spent the last years fundraising for Trump. She was one of the top fundraisers for Trump. Vince McMahon gave tens of millions of dollars to Trump. So it all makes sense ultimately why she's in the position she's in, isn't it? Ultimately, everything with the Trump administration is pay to play. And then we have Tillman Fertitta, a billionaire who owns the Houston Rockets. And this is also the CEO of Landry's. Trump has called him a personal friend, and he will be an ambassador to Italy now. Good for the billionaire. We also had another 9 nominees or their spouses that gave less than $1 million, including former hedge fund executive and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. This list also includes Edward Walsh, a construction a construction executive from Bedminster, New Jersey, and a member of Trump National Golf Club, who Trump tapped for ambassador to Ireland. Who knew all you had to donate was a couple million and you'd be an ambassador to a prevalent country? Not a bad deal for these billionaires to have a little fun in the meantime, right, guys? Now let's get to the company side of it. As far as mega corporations go, Pilgrim's Pride tops the list with $5 million given to the Trump inauguration. They are a subsidiary of a Brazilian meat conglomerate, so it's not even an American company at its core, and it will benefit greatly from a recent Trump administration move to relax regulations as poultry processing. In January, they agreed to pay a $41 million fine in an antitrust case that alleged it's artificially inflated its stock price. Once again, this is an example like the Meta case, where the FCC was initially seeking $30 billion for antitrust. They wound up paying $450 million. Just like with Pilgrim's Pride, they were initially asking billions of dollars for these crimes, and instead only had to pay a measly $41 million. So I guess that $4 million given to the Trump inauguration is not a bad investment at all. Behind them, we have Ripple Labs, a cryptocurrency firm whose CEO announced recently that the Securities and Exchange Commission would drop its long-running litigation over whether its cryptocurrency is a security. We are going to be seeing a lot of these cryptocurrencies on this list, and we will be going deeper into all of them at the end of the video. So stay tuned to really see a deep dive into how crypto has really co-opted and bought out Trump. And third behind Ripple is our good old pal Chevron, the people behind the countless oil spills and environmental disasters. Trump ties to fossil fuel companies have always run deep. In his first term, he appointed Rex Tillerson, the former CEO of ExxonMobil, to Secretary of State, which was what about being a fossil fuel CEO makes you qualified as Secretary of State? I don't know, but he would wind up only lasting a year, saying it was, quote, really hard to understand and have a conversation with someone who doesn't even understand the concepts for why we're talking about this. Basically, he called him a clueless hack, as many people have said leaving the Trump administration. But what did Trump say? I hire only the best people. So the best people are calling you an idiot. Maybe you should take note. Alrighty. Following from that, we have Robinhood Markets, who was the fourth biggest donor to the Trump inauguration. They said in February that the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission, also closed their probe into its cryptocurrency business. Seem to see a trend of all these big donors to the Trump inauguration somehow finding their way to no longer have to pay fines, no more probes into them. It's this free game after you give a couple million, right? At 5, we have Tang Family Trust, who gave $2 million, but the Washington Post could not find whom this trust was affiliated with, and there was no responses in attempted contact. Wanted to give $1 million to inaugurate the President of the United States, but can't even respond to a request to identify what you guys represent. I guess leave it up to imagination, right? Leave it up to imagination what the Tang family has involved to want to donate this much money. Sixth is the Vapor Technology Association. Now, this comes after Trump made promises to save vaping, as the Food and Drug Administration in recent years has moved to regulate flavored electronic cigarettes. Now, this, like crypto, is another blatant bait and switch after his first term. So during Trump's first term, he changed the federal age to use tobacco products from 18 to 21. But he did not stop there. He also banned flavored pods. Now, this was supposed to help stop the rise of youth smoking, but what effect did it actually have? Well, it destroyed the American tobacco business, with businesses like Juul completely damn near collapsing overnight. And it also led to the rise of Chinese disposable vape devices. Instead of American product, we have Chinese disposable vapes. These things light up like glow lamps and are excluded from the flavored pods ban because they are disposable devices, resulting in literally countless flavors, combinations, and brands. And this has only created a bigger boom with you smoking. Except now it is completely unregulated. There is no telling what metals, chemicals are in these devices because they're not tested like before when they were American company produced products. And not to mention just that, they also have their own individual lithium batteries, literally millions and millions of lithium batteries being wasted and properly discarded as a result. So not only is it much more dangerous with much more youth using it, but now the companies are all Chinese and not American. But I thought this was American first, right? Unregulated Chinese vapes instead of American products. Um, but he's gonna save the vape industry, right? And we're not even got to the end yet. So now, not even to mention the fact that the new Chinese tariffs are going to result in a near 150% in these vape prices. But yeah, he is the one to save vaping. So not only has he killed the American vape industry, the actual manufacturer of the vapes, but he's led to the rise of Chinese disposable vapes, untested, unregulated, more dangerous, more attractive to children, destroyed American business, but now he's set to destroy the vape stores that have survived by raising vape prices by 150%. You can't make it up, but at least the vape boys, donated to get this guy in. Nobody to blame but themselves on that one. Following the vape guys, we have Cantor Fitzgerald, Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary. Um, Howard Lutnick, our Commerce Secretary, who served as chairman and CEO of the bank until he was confirmed. And now I'm going to do a later video on Howard Lutnick. He's one of the biggest hacks, grifters in the administration. But it's no surprise that the company he was the former CEO of before his new position donated millions of dollars to Trump. More typical pay to play. Up next at number 8, we have JP Morgan Chase, the largest bank in the US, and the CEO, Jamie Dimon, has spent the last few weeks crying about the impacts of Trump's tariffs. And now he's absolutely right that Trump's tariffs suck and they're going to destroy American business. They're going to destroy the economy. He's right about all of that. But you get what you paid for, Mr. Diamond. So I can't say I feel too sorry for you. I hope freaking JP Morgan has a lot of issues as a result of y'all's own actions. You reap what you sow, Mr. Diamond. And 9, we have FedEx, whose chairman and founder visited the White House in February, Trump's first month in office. So after giving $1 million, clearly, Trump was eager to meet with Mr. FedEx himself. First month in office, get him in here. Let's hear what issues he has. He's who's important, not the American people, not the people that are struggling to eat, struggling to survive, the manufacturers that can't run a business now with the tariffs. We don't care about those, but FedEx, they gave us $1 million to my party, so let me talk to him. And then finally, as the 10th most prominent business to donate to the inauguration, we have Hims, the telehealth company whose business is highly dependent on regulations and relations with the FDA, specifically with the rise of these weight loss drugs like Mounjaro and whatnot. It's really, really important they maintain a positive relationship. And I think they will now that they've donated $1 million. If anything else we've seen is clear, you donate to Trump and you will be all right, right? Alrighty. And then up next, we have cryptocurrency. So, crypto companies and executives played an unprecedented role in the funding of the inauguration this year, along with the funding of the 2024 campaign for Trump, highlighting the industry's growing political clout in Washington. Trump has, of course, flipped on crypto after saying he now vows to be one of the most crypto friendly presidents in history, signing executive orders, promoting digital assets, and hosting executives at the White House. But this is a bait and switch, as always, from his first term, where he said, quote, I am not a fan of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, which are not money and whose value is highly volatile and based on thin air. Unregulated crypto assets can facilitate unlawful behavior, introducing drug trade and other illegal activity, end quote. So we went from I am no fan of any cryptocurrency and they lead to illegal activity to I am going to be the most pro crypto guy in history. And what changed? Well, of course, hundreds of millions of dollars in donations changed. So yeah, after being given hundreds of millions of dollars in from big tech and crypto, he is now a huge supporter, even launching his own meme coin that he made billions of dollars off of, scamming his own supporters before becoming president. He's also announced the U.S. crypto reserve, where the U.S. will own billions of dollars of cryptocurrency, bought and paid for by American taxpayers, making these crypto giant whales and executives like we're seeing here profit to the tune of billions of dollars, all through American taxpayers. And on April 7th, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche issued a memo directing the Justice Department to stop pursuing litigation or enforcement actions that impose regulatory frameworks on digital assets, which effectively disbanded the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team. And it means that it's essentially free game for all crypto criminals and the like. If you want to commit crime, do it on crypto. Trump is literally saying, we will not prosecute you. You do a cryptocurrency crime, doesn't matter if it's thousands, tens, billions of dollars. You will get away with it. There won't even be an investigation. This is the American future that the Trump administration is bringing in. And since Trump took office this year, the SEC has dropped or paused more than a dozen cases against crypto firms, including many of the companies that donated to this very inauguration. And then, as we see here, Mr. Fred Erzin, he is the perfect example of this exactly. He is the Coinbase co-founder, and the SEC February announced that it would drop a case against the crypto company he founded. Except they didn't announce it, he did. There was zero comment after years of investigating Coinbase for not properly recognizing their securities they have. It was dropped once Trump was elected after they, one, donated $75 million to the Trump campaign, $1 million to the inauguration, as we're seeing here. They also hosted the Trump inaugural crypto ball, where he launched his meme coin that he made billions of dollars, fleecing his own supporters. And now we're here. Their cases are dropped. They're good to go. Free game. All for a few $100 million. You can be devoid from law. And then as far as companies go, of course we have crypto at the top with $4.9 million donated. They announced in March, like Coinbase, that the SEC Commission would drop its long-running litigation over whether its cryptocurrency is a security. Like, I don't know if y'all are hearing this. These companies and people are donating millions of dollars, and you're seeing a direct one-to-one relation to what they're paying for and what they get. Blatant corruption, blatant pay to play, and nothing will happen. I guarantee you nothing will happen because the cases that were already against these people are being dropped. Alrighty. So good old Ripple. Up next, we have Robinhood at second with 2 million. And again, like Ripple, they announced that the SEC have dropped their probe into them. How? Who could have guessed it? And then third is Circle, the cryptocurrency firm, came in at 1 million donated. And the company filed for an IPO in April after a previous attempt failed due to regulatory scrutiny. For some reason, I think this regulatory scrutiny won't come up again, and they will successfully IPO in the coming year. Just hold it. This a guess there, guys. But I will take bets if anybody wants to offer. Alrighty, at fourth we have Coinbase. As we said with the CEO, they've been involved with countless investigations. We're ready to pay massive fines, and now it's dropped, and they're got off scotch-free. Then from that, we have Forest Dax. The company said in March that the SEC dropped a probe into its business. Literally, these are all separate companies, guys. When you break it down to the biggest donors to the inauguration, you see one by one, investigation drop, charges drop. like I said, it's the ultimate pay to play. And then we have Galaxy Digital Services. The company said that it was moving forward a listing on the Nasdaq following an SEC review. I would hold out hope that that SEC review is going to go well now that they've donated this dollar and they will go public. Alrighty. After that, we have Ondo Finance. The president's son, Donald Trump Jr., spoke at the company's summit in February. I'm sure he got paid handsomely for that, and I'm sure they will be looked out for in the near future. After that, we have Kraken. The SEC announced in March that it would dismiss a lawsuit against Kraken and co-CEO Arjun Sethi, who attended Trump's White House Digital Asset Summit. Once again, another case dropped due to blatant corruption. And then finally, we have Solana. Trump launched his meme coins onto Solana, and it's also included in the crypto fund. So they will be set after that, after we buy billions, maybe trillions of dollars worth of their coin. I'm sure they will be making that $1 million donation back with urgency. Now let's get into the tech world. So the top tech executives had prominent seats at Trump's inauguration, as you see pictured here, following an aggressive influence campaign where several executives worked to limit retribution from the president who once vilified them. Alrighty, and we will look at the individual tech donors. First, we have the CEO of Uber, who in a lawsuit this month, the Federal Trade Commission alleged that the Uber enrolled people in its Uber One subscription service and then made it difficult for them to cancel. They dispute that claim and be lookout for a favorable decision with the SEC over that after this $1 million donation. Sam Altman of ChatGPT was second. He's also of OpenAI fame. Altman visited the White House during Trump's first week in office to announce a multi-billion-dollar data center investment for his company. The project drew criticism from Elon Musk, who co-founded OpenAI with Altman and others, but later sued the company. So we're seeing, once again, a fight with Elon and other Trump administration people. Elon is not happy that he is not the only oligarch in the system. And we'll see him fight for it. But like it said here, Altman donated millions of dollars to Trump, and after that first week in office, Trump announced hundreds of $1 million to be invested in Altman's company. A good deal, as all these have been. And finally, we have good old Tim Cook, also known as Tim Apple. The CEO of Apple developed a relationship with Trump during his first term. The Trump administration recently made tariff exemptions for his smartphones after Cook's call with the administration officials, saving them from the tariffs and once again placing them at a very advantageous position due to his close relationship with Mr. Trump himself, along with millions of dollars being given, of course. And let's look at the tech companies involved. So first we have Adobe with $1 million given. The FTC has sued the company over allegations that it made it difficult for customers to cancel subscriptions, and the company also denies claims. Similar to Uber, it seems they both found the solution to this issue is donating to Trump. Go figure. Up next is Amazon. Amazon faces FTC antitrust lawsuit like Meta did and has business contracts with government agencies. They also gave a $40 million deal to Melania Trump for a documentary. As soon as Trump was elected, we're seeing Big Bezos trying to get back in good with Trump after some rocky waters. Like I said, we've already seen issues with Blue Origin and NASA versus SpaceX and Elon. So be on the lookout once again for Jeff Bezos to get closer and closer to Trump. We saw the same thing with his newspaper he owns, that, they're going to be very bipartisan, which means partisan for Trump. And you can only expect more of that if we're being honest. Following that is Broadcom, a chip and computer infrastructure company. The company tangled with Trump in his first term when he bought acquisition to Qualcomm because of national security concerns. And clearly they've woken up to how to actually get close to Trump, which is what? Give him millions of dollars and you will get any decision that you could possibly want. Alrighty. Following that is C3 AI. The company contracts with federal agencies, including the Pentagon. So it's no shock that they want to maintain a good relationship, especially with Elon running amok with any company that's not his friends. You're primed to be cut. So it's no surprise that they want to get close to Trump directly. Citrix Systems, Tom Cross, the CEO of Citrix Parent Cloud Software Group, is an ally of Elon Musk and oversees Treasury's Bureau of the Fiscal Services. No conflict of interest there, of course. And then we have Coupang, the company known as the Amazon of South Korea and has offices in Seattle. No shock that South Korean foreign businesses want to get involved with Trump. I'm sure they can find a way to benefit themselves also. After that, we have Google, our good old friends at Google. Judges have ruled in two federal antitrust cases that the company has illegal monopolies, and the DOJ is arguing that the company should be forced to sell Chrome, its web browser. Of course, Google disputes these claims, and now with this big donation, I'm thinking that they will do just fine, like the other companies that have donated to Trump, with antitrust cases facing them. After that is Meta, a company with the exact same situation. They got a 97% discount on their antitrust fine. They have been alleged that the company wields an illegal monopoly among communication apps that connect friends and family. And then we have Micron Technology. The Biden administration awarded the company more than $6 billion under the Chips and Science Act, a bipartisan bill which Trump wants to end, of course. So maybe after that donation, he'll be a little less inclined to end it, especially if he can claim that he's the reason for it happening, which I'm sure the people in charge will not mind saying if it means they can maintain their job, right, guys? And who can blame the Chips and Science Act? Like all things in the Biden administration are results of him being incapable of claiming any victory or any policy victory or letting people know what he's doing. So Trump can not only run that he was going to shut down the CHIPS Act, but once he gets donated and it's advantageous to claim tariffs as a victory with the CHIPS Act, he claims it's his. And now many people will think the CHIPS Act is due to Trump and not Biden. And there's no one to blame for that but Biden himself for being this incapable of anything, if we're being honest. We'll do a deep dive into Biden soon, guys. Don't worry. And lastly, we have our last four companies. Nvidia, the company is embroiled in Trump's trade war, continuing with export controls and expected tariffs on semiconductors. Then we have Perplexity AI. The company proposed a plan to rebuild TikTok algorithm as Trump tried to avert a ban of the video sharing app. Then we have Second Front Systems. The company advertises its services for government agencies, including contracts with the Pentagon Defense Invocation Unit. And finally, of our $1 million donor companies, we have Uber. Once again, the company has faced scrutiny over its data security practices, and the FTC alleged that Uber made it difficult for customers to cancel subscriptions in an April lawsuit. And that does it. So, this to sum all this stuff up, like everything with the Trump administration, the corruption is just smacking you in the face. It's a surface level below to see this blatant corruption right in front of you. It's blatant pay to play. And it's up to us, the American people, to really ensure that he's held accountable for this. I'm not holding hope. Nobody should hold out hope. But at the very least, this should be a wake-up call to people that are kind of on the line, on the fence of whether or not Trump is truly this corrupt person that people say he is, or is biased media. These bribes, this corruption is in your face, smacking you right in the face. And it's because he believes you're too dumb to recognize it for what it is. So it's your responsibility as a human, as an American citizen, to know the truth, know what these hacks, these oligarchs are doing to this country, and to respond better than they did in 2024. And let's make sure that it does not get worse, which it almost inevitably will. But let's make sure by Tom's 2028 that we're ready to bounce back from it and counteract the changes that were made.